Apple's top-of-the-line iPhone 14 Pro Max is rumored to include a sharper camera, faster performance and a massive 6.7-inch screen like the current iPhone 13 Pro Max. Those all sound like worthwhile upgrades, but it might not be enough to make Apple's most expensive new iPhone stand out this year. That's because the iPhone 14 Pro Max won't be the only supersize iPhone in Apple's lineup anymore, if the latest rumors are to be believed. Apple is expected to release a 6.7-inch iPhone 14 Max as well this year, meaning those who love large screens won't have to splurge on the Pro Max just to get a bigger display. Aside from the difference in screen size, there's typically little that separates Apple's Pro iPhones from its Pro Max devices. I'm hoping that changes with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which we're expecting to learn about during Apple's upcoming September 7 event. With inflation putting a dent in smartphone shipments, companies like Apple may have to work harder to convince consumers to spend more on high-end devices. iPhone 14 Pro Max, what to expect? If Apple does release an iPhone 14 Pro Max in September, it's likely to be a sequel to Apple's current iPhone 13 Pro Max. As such, it will probably have a 6.7-inch screen and a triple-lens camera. That includes wide, ultra-wide and telephoto lenses. In an effort to further distinguish its Pro iPhones from its standard iPhones, Apple will reportedly give the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max an upgraded 48-megapixel camera sensor, a faster A16 Bionic chip, and a redesigned camera module on the front that removes the notch. These features are said to be exclusive to the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, meaning they won't appear on the standard iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Max. That's all according to reports from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman and TF International Securities analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, both of which have strong track records when it comes to reporting on unreleased Apple products. Provided Apple maintains its current pricing structure, the iPhone 14 Pro Max will likely start at $1,100 for the 128GB model. The iPhone 14 Pro will likely begin at $1,000. Why the iPhone 14 Pro Max needs to stand out? If the reports turn out to be true, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max could include one of the biggest camera improvements we've seen on the iPhone in years. That alone could make them appealing to those in the market for a new device. The problem, however, is that the iPhone 14 Pro Max could end up getting lost in the shuffle. Shoppers who just care about having the best camera could get by with the cheaper iPhone 14 Pro, while those who primarily want a large screen may opt for the rumored iPhone 14 Max. Both devices will likely be cheaper than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The launch would also come at a time when people are seemingly spending less on mobile devices and being more careful about their purchases. Smartphone shipments are expected to decline by 3.5% in 2022, according to estimates from the International Data Corporation published in June. The NPD Group reported in May that more than 8 in 10 consumers are planning to reassess their product spending in the next 3 to 6 months. A recent NPD survey also indicated consumers plan to seek less expensive items, look for promotions and cut back on overall purchases in the next few months. These factors could make it more difficult to convince consumers to spend more than $1,000 on a new phone, especially when they may be able to get some of the same benefits. A larger screen or a triple-lens camera on cheaper models. With the iPhone 14 Pro Max, Apple would likely be counting on the fact that consumers are willing to pay a premium to get both a larger screen and a better camera. How Apple could make the iPhone 14 Pro Max feel special. There are a few things Apple could do to make the iPhone 14 Pro Max stand out alongside the regular iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Max. As I've said in the past, I'd love to see Apple implement iPad-like software features that make better use of the Pro Max's giant screen. For example, it could add a multitasking mode that makes it easier to view more than one app simultaneously. I'd also like to see an always-on display option, similar to the one available on newer Apple Watch models and many competing Android phones. Samsung has done a better job of distinguishing its premium Galaxy S22 Ultra from the regular Galaxy S22 and S22 Plus. Even though the $1,200 Galaxy S22 Ultra is likely too expensive for most people, it offers distinct features you can't get on Samsung's less expensive models. The Ultra has a built-in stylus for note-taking and drawing, a 6.8-inch screen that's larger than any other phone in Samsung's S22 lineup, a higher-resolution 40-megapixel selfie camera, and main camera system with 2 telephoto lenses and a 10x optical zoom. None of those characteristics are available on Samsung's other S22 devices, including the $1,000 Galaxy S22 Plus. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, by comparison, has a lot in common with the iPhone 13 Pro, aside from its larger screen and longer battery life. In other words, Apple is relying on the iPhone 13 Pro Max's 6.7-inch screen to distinguish it from the regular Pro. But if Apple does release a 6.7-inch version of the standard iPhone, just as reports from Nikkei Asian Review, Bloomberg, and Ming-Chi Kuo indicate, the iPhone 14 Pro Max might feel less unique in this year's lineup. The rumored iPhone 14 Max likely won't have the same extras as Apple's Pro iPhones, such as a triple-lens camera and a screen with a higher refresh rate for smoother scrolling. But it might be compelling enough to entice shoppers that simply want a larger screen and don't care as much about having a telephoto lens. Regardless, the iPhone 14 Pro Max will be a top seller if its predecessors are any indication. The iPhone 13 Pro Max landed in the top 5 smartphone models in regions such as the US, UK, France, Germany, and China, according to Counterpoint Research. The iPhone 12 Pro Max was also the second best-selling phone globally in 2021, Counterpoint Research also reported. Still, until a foldable iPhone comes along, the iPhone Pro Max will be Apple's most expensive and most premium iPhone. That also means it should be the best showcase of Apple's technology, which is why I'd like to see more exclusive features that you can't get elsewhere. So guys, that's all in this video. For more interesting videos, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.